split personality. I mean, I'm just a normal individual.
Welcome to the podcast from the crypt. I'm Devin.
And I'm Steph.
And can we talk about something real quick?
Sure.
Can we talk about Evan Peters and drag?
I haven't seen him in drag.
Oh, you don't know.
I don't
She
know.
doesn't know.
I don't know.
Oh, American Horror Story.
Uh-huh.
It shook me to the core. Was not expecting Evan Peters to be a drag queen.
What episode was that? Was it the newest one?
The newest one that I watched. I don't know if another one's come out
Because I've
since.
seen...
It shows how like they started taking the pill, and you know the woman who makes them.
Oh, yeah.
It shows like how she ended up there and how she started making them, and kind of tells her story. You haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen that one
And then
yet.
it shows, you know, the Evan Peters and his little partner that she writes the romance novels. It kind of shows like how they met and how they started taking the pill. And Evan Peters was a drag queen before he was a beautiful writer.
Wow.
And
I'll
I
have to
was
watch that
literally
tonight,
dying,
'cause-
and he does a routine in these big boots, heels.
Oh.
It's amazing. I'm really sad you didn't see it yet.
Yeah.
So no spoiler alerts here, but
I'll have to check that out. I just enjoy when him and the woman that he's
his
always
partner in
with,
crime.
yeah, fucking when they sing.
yeah. So that's
Together.
that's what he did in drag. You know, he'd sing and dance,
That's so
and
funny.
that
That is
was
so
I
funny.
guess that was his career before the pill.
You get it, Evan Peters. You fucking get it. Oh my
I loved it. I was like dying laughing.
I
'cause it was,
literally can't wait to.
it was
I'm gonna
awesome.
watch that tonight when I leave here.
It was good. It was a good episode. But I like the new season. I think it's good so far.
Me too.
Because sometimes you never know.
A couple of the seasons have been.
Yeah, but this one's good so far.
Mm.
And I'm confused though. I think they're vampires, correct?
That's
Kind
what
of.
I'm assuming, yeah.
Like they turn into vampires?
Yeah.
Because Mike was like reading about it and was like, I thought they were supposed to be sirens against aliens. And I'm like, I don't see any sirens.
I think it's vampires
or
against
aliens. I haven't
Well,
seen
it's supposed to be
aliens
a
yet.
double feature, so it's eventually going to transition into. I'm sure
Aliens.
the aliens will get introduced at some point. I don't know
Yeah,
when.
yeah.
I don't know how they're doing it. I just know this season's called double feature because it's two things that collide into one.
Yeah.
So
it's good. If you guys haven't started watching the new season yet, you
Do
got to
it.
do it, especially if
Do
you want
it.
to see Evan
Do
Peters
it.
in drag, because it made
it
my
was
day.
good, I guess.
I was
Devin is
deceased.
smiling ear to ear.
I was deceased. It was good. It was funny. I don't know how funny it was supposed to be, but to me it was fucking funny.
Oh,
All right, let's get into
Israel. Keys.
Israel, not a queen,
Nah, just a.
just a drag.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
You
Brava.
like that?
Brava.
Slid that in there.
That was a good one.
So last time we kind of talked about, his murder kits.
Yeah, that he had sprinkled
And
everywhere.
how he was so just different than other serial killers because he had that patience,
Yeah.
He could go bury a murder kit and then not come back for 3 years
Mhm.
and then dig it up
Yep.
and commit a murder, like it's mind-blowing, the
He was just
patience.
he
He was a fucking predator is what he was.
for sure a predator and a fucking odd duck.
He was.
A very odd duck.
But that's why, if he did commit as many murders as,
He said he did.
well, he didn't say, well, he kind of said he committed
He
quite
hinted.
a few. But as many people believe he did, because some think he committed a lot. I don't think he committed that many, but
Yeah.
a lot of people think he did. I could see how he could get away with it, because
Yeah.
you just bury that in a
especially
random
with
place.
what we've talked about, how he was flying with his girlfriend's miles, so you wouldn't even technically be able to track him that way, and how with his rental cars and all the ways he could have gotten around the United States. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if he did do all those murders or did do more than the few that we know about. So.
Well, I've been digging into his timeline of rental cars and
Yeah.
this and that, and it's going to be a lot of episodes, my babies, because there's a lot of places he's been around, and a lot of people they think that he could have gotten, and so I don't know.
Yeah, we've been pouring through missing persons reports and doing all that kind of stuff, trying to come up with
possible. We both realize that we're not solving any of the Washington stuff without you. It's just not going to happen. Any clues or bones you can throw us to keep us busy until that time, talk to us.
You got me more curious about the caches and stuff now, too. You know, how many caches are there?
In Washington?
Washington, United States, Canada.
The idea with caches is to have something everywhere.
Wherever you might never know when you're going to feel the need.
I'm not
tied down.
stay-at-home kind of guy, so...
There's a lot of them.
Well,
A dozen?
no.
Jesus, nothing. That won't be that hard. We got that. How many in Washington? One relative. How about
At least one in Washington.
At least one. Is there one that's not relative that we could look for?
No. They're all relative?
Well, relevant to... I know you said there was one in Washington relevant to stuff we may be talking about in the future, but...
Well, they're all relevant.
That's what you have them for, right?
Right. Because a lot of the stuff in them, at the time that I buried them, it's not mine, so...
Any other bones to these guys?
No, not literally, sorry.
I didn't even mean it that way, but okay.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is I had a bank robber case that involved a guy named Bradley Robinette. He was a local Port Angeles guy, and he was really big into the caches, where he'd cache weapons, camping equipment, money, all that kind of stuff. And we ended up finding two of them, one out in Swim and then one toward Nia Bay.
They think they were his.
Yeah, we're pretty sure they're his. I'll show you photos sometime if you want. Did any of your caches anywhere ever get discovered that you know of?
I would seriously doubt it. Seriously.
You don't think they happened upon one of yours?
Seriously doubt it.
Okay. Could someone identify your caches from... I mean, this guy, Robinette's caches, I mean, he had his, fake driver's license and stuff, but with his real name and stuff in there, so it was kind of easy to attribute some of them to him at least, but...
No, any of mine, I didn't even leave fingerprints.
Okay.
So, because I was aware of that. It's a slim possibility, but, it's still happening.
Yeah. This guy had a lot of caches, and, we found two, which means there's probably 18 others out there. He was prolific in caches, but I just wondered if you ever had any that you discovered later were gone.
No. Most of them I've never go back to. Well, I mean, other than see if it's still there, but...
So, I hope you guys took a drink in the numerous times that Israel
chuckled.
Keys chuckled about how funny it is. So they obviously referred to them as caches. That's what they call them. That's, I guess, the technical term, I guess.
I wonder...
Of whatever, that's what Israel called them and the FBI called them. So, but, most people call them murder kits, kill kits.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were,
Although the caches is like confusing to me. I obviously noticed them saying that, and I was just like, what? I mean, I know they're talking about the murder kits, but why are they calling them that?
Yeah, that must be some technical term of fucking, as
kit.
Israel Keys would like to say, buried treasure.
Yeah.
So obviously he hid them, as he states, hid them all over. And like I said in a previous episode, where one has been found, and I mean, I guess there's still some. They say that there's actually one in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So, but most of it consisted of the stolen items, like he said. Like, he'd kill someone and steal their gun and then hide that, and then use that in another crime, and so on and so forth. So nothing would ever really be traced
back to him.
Especially if he never got rid of the gun and instead hid it in another cache, then nobody will ever have it,
Exactly. And if they did find it, there's no way to say that it was his, because like you said, he didn't leave fingerprints, he didn't leave anything that would indicate it's his. So if it's already stolen, if they were to run the serial number or whatever on whatever it was, whether it was a gun or not, it would come up to somebody else, not him.
And if they even tried to connect it to other murders, most can't
Yeah.
because no other police department's gonna be looking from Alaska all the way to
Yeah.
fucking New Hampshire
Yeah.
to see if a bullet was the same as this
yeah.
gun that they found. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's smart. It really is
I hate
smart.
how smart he was. I really do.
He was pretty smart, which
He
is
was a dweeb, but
which
he was smart.
it's scary. So Israel also, unlike all serial killers almost, didn't have really a type.
No, it was, it's just... You asking what type of people I would pick, or?
Yeah, what type, or whether there was a
I
way.
didn't really have a type.
Okay.
I had preference, but it wasn't...
What's the preference?
Well, lightweight.
Is that because of attraction or because of disposal?
Yeah, it's kind of makes it easier.
Okay.
But, it's not... It's not a deal breaker.
So, as I said in a previous episode, us big bitches wasn't a deal breaker. So, even though you definitely have a slimmer chance of getting kidnapped if you're fat.
I told that to people at work, and they were like, "What?"
Duh.
And I go,
They don't know that?
Yeah.
Who doesn't know that?
I go, "I'm a big bitch, so nobody's trying to kidnap me."
I know, you
And
gotta
they're like,
wrestle them and then dispose of their big dead weight. It weighs a lot more than regular weight.
I may be 300 pounds, but if once I'm dead, I'm about like 600. It's heavy.
And that's why he said, for disposal reasons, but like he said, it's not a deal breaker.
And let's be realistic. I haven't seen many crimes where they go after big girls.
No, not many. I can't really...
Be hard to lift.
I can't even really think of that many, unless it's like a domestic
thing,
where they just shoot them in the head and leave them.
9 times out of 10, it's just a domestic thing. It's not like a serial killer or like
Usually
serial
we're
rapist
safe.
or something.
We're safe.
Usually we're
serial
safe because
killers.
they can't fucking lift our big bodies once we're dead.
True.
So
true.
And I really hope we're not provoking a serial killer to start killing big bitches. Please don't. Leave us alone.
Oh.
We've suffered enough being big. Just leave us alone.
Seriously, that's our punishment. That's why we don't get murdered. We die from high cholesterol and diabetes.
Yeah, leave us alone.
So when Israel was eventually caught, the police found searches on his computer of over 40 missing person cases.
Jeez.
Most of them they could rule out because of his timeline and stuff. Once they put that all together and started, cross-referencing who died, when, where Israel was.
Yeah.
Do we have proof that he was not around? Do we have proof that he was around? Most of them didn't really match up. And some of the cases that he was searching too were either already solved or they had happened before he was even alive.
Computers. You mentioned when computers first came out, you started doing searches and just wanted to see what was up with the military guys. When you talked before with us about there were a couple times that you would go on your computer and do a search just to see if a body had been found or, I don't know, arson or bank robbery or whatever it is. When you were doing that, how would you do that? I mean, did you know names of everybody, or would you do just Google search a town, or how would you do it?
I was... with the exception of the computer that you guys got, I generally wouldn't do it on the home computers. I had another computer that I did use for a while, but for the most part, it was a computer that I was planning on having around for a while. I would never do searches on it. The searches I did do were usually pretty generic. I would type in an area or a newspaper of an area and type in a keyword. I would never type in a specific name.
Not a name. The name of the newspaper from the area? Like if it...
I would do
Burlington Press.
Right. So, yeah, I would do a search of news from an area, I guess, and then pull up either a newspaper or news channel, online news. Type in a keyword of something and just scroll down the different stories till I found the one I was looking for. if I was doing it from an anonymous computer, like an airport or a library or something, I would just type in what I wanted right away and bring it up.
Did you know the names? Or did you remember the names of most of the people?
Yeah, well, yeah. On the major things, yeah.
Okay.
So there's not going to be as many details that anybody knows aside from me. There's just not. And like I said, frankly, on some of the stuff, I was shocked at the fact that I never heard anything about it. Virtually nothing. And that's not to say that there isn't an investigation or whatever, but it was just nothing was ever high profile like the stuff that happened more recently.
So as you can see, Israel was very he didn't give much when they asked about his computer history and why he was searching these certain cases and were they any of his victims, and he tended to say that he only searched stuff like that on public computers and
would stick with whatever keywords on his regular computer. I think he was just being nosy. I think he was being nosy, and I think he also was kind of maybe subconsciously planning ahead, like if he ever did get caught, trying to claim he did some of these missing people in and
try to make himself
sound better. Because and also I think it was like a little bit like, I'm trying to think of the word, maybe got him off seeing all these missing people, knowing that there were other people like him.
Wow. Some people actually believe that Israel had paraphilia, which we have talked about before in many other cases, especially with serial killers. But to refresh your memory, paraphilia is a condition characterized by abnormal sexual desires, typically involving extreme or dangerous activities. Israel could have felt this towards missing persons. It could have gotten him off imagining he was the one that made them missing.
Yeah.
Maybe even imagining raping and killing them. Could have been like fucking porn for Israel, just reading about people missing.
And I'm more inclined to believe that than him actually doing anything to those
I
people.
think some of them might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know if he looked up, like, because he actually really only has one 100% confirmed case. You know what I mean? One murder that they know, he told them where the body was, and they know he definitely did it. But I wonder, when we get to her case, he did do some online things when it came to her. Like, people were posting, like, news articles and, like, the ones you can comment on and stuff. And he was, like, commenting on them. And he's the one that killed her. Using his real name. Like, it was like, fuck? Israel Keys says.
That's fucking fucked.
Well, we'll obviously get to it when we get to her case.
Yeah.
But, so he's known for, at least trying to be involved in that way. Maybe he didn't go back to the scene of the crime like Ted Bundy did, but he did virtually go back to the scene of the crime. You feel me?
And they always do. Even with
in some way,
in
some way. Even if you're just Googling it.
They want to see the pain that they're inflicting on people.
Because nowadays with new age serial killers, you can just Google to go back to the scene of the crime, Exactly. You don't have to actually physically do it. Back in like Bundy's days, you had to physically go back.
You
or
couldn't Google it, and the local newspaper probably wasn't covering if you were in Boston, unless it was a huge case, your local newspaper's not going to cover the missing person that went missing in fucking bumfuck Colorado or whatever.
Yeah. So Israel had that I guess upper hand that he could just Google whatever he wanted to see what happened. But the one thing I wonder too is, how did he get these people's names? Usually when you're fucking killing someone, you're not like, by the way, can I have your first and last name, please?
And that's what makes me think he didn't know their names, and he was just saying that he did, but he probably didn't.
Well, like he said, he would Google like the town newspaper or like the town.
Yeah, and then maybe that's how he figured out their names. But I highly doubt before he murdered them, he knew their fucking names.
Yeah,
he probably just Googled them, remembered the face, and was like, "Oh, that's who that was."
Yeah, that's whose life I took. Real nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the number of victims that died at Israel's hands are unknown. Obviously, we've talked about that. But the FBI does believe that it was 11 victims. I know, what a random fucking number. Yeah. 11 victims. So when they were interviewing him, they would throw out like random numbers of victims to like try to, get him.
Yeah.
Like kind of like
throw him off.
I'd be like, yeah, so you're 5 victims, and he'd be like, no, I wasn't 5 victims. You know what I mean? They're trying to get him to admit, and he would correct them with every number that they said except for 11. So they thought, 11 sounds like the magic number. And he would also agree that his kill count was under a dozen, which right under a dozen is 11. Lucky number 11. But he also would agree that a lot of things were under a dozen, such as banks he robbed. They'd be like, under a dozen? He'd be like, yeah. And the kill kits that he buried, under a dozen. That's what he'd always say. Everything was fucking under a dozen, under a dozen.
11 was his number.
Maybe 11 just was his number. Maybe he had everything fucking... Maybe he had a little bit of OCD. Maybe he needed...
Had to be specifically 11.
Like maybe once he murdered his 11th victim, he had to bury another murder kit to make 11. Rob another bank to make 11. You know what I mean? Maybe. That could be a thing too. But it just seemed that it was all a little too convenient. That everything was under a dozen.
Yeah.
Right, under a dozen.
But,
they don't know for sure. But also, when I get to his death, I'll say another reason why they believe 11 comes up too. But I don't want to get to that just yet. We have about 35 episodes before that.
You're funny.
So, and all the clips that I've been playing are from his interrogations with the FBI. He would ask for the coffee drink called an Americano, cigars, and peanut butter Snickers. To keep him talking. That's all he wanted. Coffee, cigars, and peanut butter Snickers.
Ew. I just think that's... I hate peanut butter Snickers.
I like them. They're good.
I don't...
I mean, I couldn't eat them every time I got interrogated by the FBI. Yeah. I'd want some... I'd spruce it up a little, you know?
Americano coffee is fucking piss.
I've never tried. I don't even know what it is. I should have Googled what's in an Americano.
It's piss water. It's gross.
It's gross?
It's disgusting.
What the fuck do they put in it?
I want to say it's like just water and espresso.
You know what? I bet you're right because that sounds so much like Israel Keys.
Yeah, it's just... I'm pretty sure it's just...
That's what he is, water and
water
espresso.
And espresso. No coffee, just watered down espresso.
All right, how to make a cafe Americano from Starbucks.com. Bring water to a boil and pour into your mug. Prepare 2 shots of espresso.
Yep.
Slowly pour your 2 shots of espresso into the water and enjoy.
Told you.
It's just water.
Down
Good for you, boo-boo. But it's funny that you say that because that is like what Israel Keys is. He's water and espresso. That's it. No coffee.
He's water and shit diarrhea is what he is.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Really, he's nothing.
Yeah.
So he couldn't smoke the cigars inside the building because by the time he got arrested, it's 2012. We don't do that. No-nos anymore.
Oh, no. Poor dear.
So they would take him in shackles to a parking garage so that he could smoke a cigar, and they'd be forced to just kind of stand there and make small talk with this dick fruit.
Why did they?
Because they couldn't question him because you have to question in front of, the recording and the video and stuff. So they had to just, make small talk.
Why didn't they just bring him outside the building? Why a fucking parking garage?
Because I don't think they'd want other people to see him. And part of his deal, which we'll get to when he gets caught, is nobody wanted to keep it as private as possible. I mean, as much as they could. But once you get arrested, it's public knowledge, period. Yeah. But I also don't understand why the FBI didn't just lie to him and tell him he could have everything he wanted just to get information, because they do that all the time. And I've listened to podcasts with detectives and police that say that that's perfectly legal to do. So I don't know. I don't know why the fuck criminal. They didn't do that. I think they were a little bit too nice.
Yeah.
Go. But I think nowadays you got to be that way because people will fucking sue you if you're too mean and you hurt their feelings, and
they can sue all they want. They're criminals, so they don't have any rights.
Too bad they have a lot of rights. That's what sucks.
Not really.
They can, and they can get all charges dropped if they can prove that something fucky was going on.
Yeah.
Even though they deserve it, but a lot of people also wonder why the FBI would laugh and joke with Israel, but you also have to understand that they would do whatever they had to do to get information from him, and that included the being nice.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think they should have also lied and said that, yes, we'll give you whatever the fuck you want. You can still be nice and try to get information, because with someone like Israel, punishment wouldn't have, like, worked.
Yeah, no.
I mean, maybe torture, but, like, unfortunately, that's illegal.
I don't even think torture would have worked.
I don't know with the
honestly.
sociopath. They're perplexing with that. I'm not sure if it would have worked or not.
I don't think it would have. He
But
probably would have laughed in their
him,
face.
yeah, him,
The whole time.
him. The way that they went about it, I think, was the best way for him. Like that.
I do like that.
But I'll get more into the FBI interviews when we get to that part of the story, like when he gets caught and stuff, and more about that. But we have a long time until then, because now we're going to get into Israel Key's timeline, including his flights around the United States, his bank robberies, his suspected murders, his confirmed murders, his fucking rental cars, his, just if there was a fucking witness that saw him over by the lake one day. I got all that information, baby. I'm ready to begin.
Let's rock and roll.
And it's gonna be a long haul, my friends. So I hope that you fucking buckle up and your ass is ready. Because it's gonna be a long haul. And, unfortunately I can't go over, every single of his suspected murders, because he's been a thought for many unsolved cases.
Yeah.
And we'd be here literally
all day.
Like,
we'd have our own series for him.
Yeah, like we could make like our own podcast that never ended. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'll get into some of them, and I can't go over like their whole story like we normally would, like on an episode or whatever. I can't talk an hour about every single one of these cases either. So I'm just gonna give y'all like the brief, overview of the case, what happened, and if it could be connected to Mr. Israel Keys or maybe not. So many believe that his first murder may have been of a girl named Julie Harris in 1996. So on March 3rd, 1996, 12-year-old Julie Harris vanished while she was walking to church in Colville, Washington. This sweet baby angel was a double amputee and had 2 prosthetic feet. Sadly, her prosthetic feet and bag were found near Colville River a few weeks after her disappearance. The following year, her remains were discovered. Julie's mother stated that she was kidnapped while she was just trying to do what she loved most. She loved God and she loved church and would go to their church as often as she could. Power to you, little chillin', but what a miserable thing to happen on the way to church. You know? Of all things, why can't it happen when you're like on the way to fucking rape some little boys?
Yeah. Happen to the right people.
That's what I mean. Things. Yeah, like on the way to whatever, rape and torture somebody, and you'd get kidnapped by someone else and die. Why can't it be like that?
Well, I mean, it could be. We could start it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it could be if we, if we step
just
in,
stir it out.
If we do that, but we can't be as smart as him, and we don't have a boat.
I don't need a boat.
Well, actually, I do have a boat, but I don't know how to drive a boat.
I'm gonna get my boating license, so it's all right.
Good for you. No body, no crime.
Exactly.
Have you heard that song by T Swift?
I've heard that one. I've heard another one. I like that one too.
That's what you reminded me of when you said you were going to get your boating license.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my dog's crying if you hear it crying. Last week we had the cat crying. This week we have the dog crying.
So, yeah, just a lot of animals crying.
Yeah, he's waiting to go for a walk. So he's just going to sit here and cry until it happens.
Come here, big man.
So, Julie was an upbeat child despite her situation. She was funny and loved to pull pranks on people. She also was involved in the Special Olympics.
Oh.
Sadly, Julie's mother has a bad last memory of her daughter, though.
What, they get into a fight?
The last conversation she had with her was about Julie's grades. She needed them to improve or her mother would not let her continue to be involved with the Special Olympics. Julie was a badass skier. But to continue to ski in the Special Olympics, she needed to maintain her grades. and she was failing some classes, which meant she wouldn't be allowed to go to the Special Olympics. Julie's brother was also involved in the Special Olympics. So a whole family of...
It was a family affair.
Of Olympians.
Good for them.
And Julie was pissed with her mother and brother because they left for the ski trip and left her behind. Bastards. Because of her grades. Julie vanished the next morning.
Oh, no.
Usually Julie would wait outside for the neighbors who would bring her to church, but she decided to walk instead and was never heard from again.
Oh, man.
But Julie's mother had a boyfriend who was staying with Julie while her mother and brother went on the skiing trip. He also was one of the last people to see Julie alive. He also had a conversation with Julie about her failing grades. The boyfriend was, of course, a person of interest, but Julie's mother never suspected him. Julie's mother was mad that they wasted time looking at him, and sometimes she felt like they were even looking into her.
Jeez.
Which, that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, get the fuck over it.
They have to look into everybody.
Yeah, it's annoying, but I mean, like, you gotta get over it. I know that you're probably like, it wasn't me, you're wasting your time with me, but the faster you let them complete the faster they can move on
and find the right person.
You know? And if you're like me, because if that ever happened to me, while they were looking into me, I'd be fucking trying to solve the case on my own, you know?
Yeah.
Detective Devin.
Detective Stephanie.
Oh, oui. I literally say that all the time to myself, and then I feel weird because you're not there. Because I'll be like, oh, oui, and then I'll be like, Detective Stephanie, and then I'm like, that's not me, though.
I use that when I'm being a detective elsewhere to people, and they do a little chuckle. I also constantly say in my head, Ladle. And I wish I could stop, but I can't.
Why?
Because it's from SpongeBob.
I know, but why?
Because I'm Patrick.
So she stated that Julie and her mom's boyfriend had a really good relationship and they loved each other. Everyone hoped that Julie had just run away because she was pissed, because she couldn't go skiing at the Special Olympics and was maybe just staying with friends, hiding from her family. Eventually, and it was 96, so when people went missing, it's like...
Yeah, it was different.
It was so different. Like, no one, gave a fucking shit. But you think, a 12-year-old girl, they'd be more on it, but... Whatever.
No, they didn't give a fuck about kids back then.
Well, parents, too, are they probably just assumed she was pissed off, so she ran away.
Yeah.
But nowadays, we, fucking strap tracking devices up our kids' asses, and we know where they are all the time. We know where they are
at all times.
And I'm totally okay with that.
Like that commercial when we were younger that would always come on late at night and be like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? Yeah, we do, because we have tracking devices on them now. Thank you.
Do they still have that on the 10 o'clock news?
Well, no, they don't. They don't care where your children are because we all know where our fucking kids are.
So eventually a witness came forward stating that they had seen Julie walking down Main Street with a tall guy in a trench coat. So Israel was 18 during the time and lived near the area. Israel was also 6'2".
Oh, boy.
And if you recall, like I just said, the witness saw Julie walking down the street with a tall dude. Mm-hmm. Which when I see pictures of Israel's face, I never thought of him to be 6'2". Yeah. He looks more like a 5'9". That's what I'd picture. That's where I'd place him on the, on the map. He's like a 5'9"
5'9" to 5'10".
Yeah, 6'2" I thought was a little tall. Yeah. I was shocked.
But also with the whole tall thing, I mean, she was how old? What, 12? And, I mean, anyone can look a lot taller than her depending on how tall she is.
True. So, but it also depends on who the witness is, because if it was an adult, they know. Yeah. Obviously.
True.
But if it was a child, who knows? The Stevens County Sheriff's Office has never cleared Julie's mom's boyfriend or Israel Keys, even after all these years. So Julie's mother had actually looked at pictures of Israel Keys that when he was about 18 and living in the area. She stated that she remembers him being at a house that Julie used to go to, and she always got bad vibes from him. Huh. Which I don't know if it's just because it had been so many years.
Yeah.
Because remember, he got caught in 2012. This happened in 1996, and she just kind of, sometimes parents are so distraught and just want an
They see what
answer
they wanna see.
or pin it on somebody that they will be like, yes, I remember that person, when they really don't. And grief is a fucked up thing, you know?
Yeah.
But Julie's best friend actually also remembered seeing Israel talk to Julie at the local swimming pool.
Oh, boy.
Which that could have also been, you know, the same type of thing, the grief and...
The mind, unfortunately, plays tricks on us, and sometimes it's valid and sometimes it's not, and it's hard to tell.
It is. So, I remember I was telling you guys that Israel always talked about never killing kids, but we get to at least one case that he could have killed a child, and she was 12. That's a fucking child.
Yeah.
So, I don't care if he's 18, that's still a child.
Still a child, yeah.
And even though Julie's case is still unsolved, Julie's mother believes that Julie may have been Israel's first murder. So even her own mother believes that, you know, she was the first person he killed. So, like I said, it throws out that bullshit of him not killing kids.
Exactly.
And it makes me wonder if he spewed that shit about not killing kids because he was embarrassed.
Yeah, or he didn't want to get his ass beaten in prison. Because most
True.
serial killers do. They deny being involved with killing children, but 9 times out of 10, it is their first victim.
Yeah, because
it's easy.
They're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Which is sad to say. Which it's like, go after the elderly fuckers.
Yeah. They've lived long lives. I mean, preferably no one, but like, if
that's
you're
what I mean.
Go after
I'm being
someone,
a dick, but I mean, if you're gonna, like, go after the 80-year-old woman.
Or, go after people like you.
Yeah. Or just kill yourself. Yeah. Thank you. But, he also was very embarrassed to admit that he fucked dudes, so...
Yeah, so who knows?
I mean, he could have been embarrassed to admit that he killed children. Yeah. And his whole thing when he got caught, too, is he didn't want his daughter to know this and that. He didn't want his daughter to know whatever, that he was fucking dudes. So maybe he just didn't want his daughter to know that he killed a child.
Yeah.
So he never admitted to it. But... we'll never know. All we have is, Julie's mom saying that, she thinks she remembers him, and Julie's best friend saying that he looks like somebody that she saw speaking to Julie at the public pool. That's all we'll ever have.
That's not enough.
But some say that was his first thrill of the kill. As I spoke about previously, between June of 1997 and September of 1997, Israel admitted to abducting and raping the unknown female near Maupin, Oregon. On October 23rd, 1997, Israel bought a house I know, I thought this was new news when I started digging into this. I have never heard this anywhere. But Israel Keyes owned a house on 511 Poplar Street in Constable, New York, according to Franklin County Real Property Records.
No shit.
Yeah, which I was really shocked. I'm like, fuck,
that's random.
I never heard of it, but I found it. He owned a house.
That's really random.
He had been paying taxes on it and everything. He owned that house. But the weird part is he never lived there.
Then why did he have the house?
So it has 10 acres of land. Most of it wooded, and also, even creepier, there's an artesian well there.
Oh shit!
Wonder what's in the bottom of that bad boy.
Oh my god!
Imagine... I wonder if they looked. I mean, I don't know if they did or not. I don't know if the new owner let them. I don't know if they had enough to get a warrant. I don't know about what transpired. But like I said, 10 acres of land. That's a lot of fucking land.
That's a lot of land,
and it's mostly wooded.
Space for dead bodies.
Yep, and that well. Little creepy. And like I said, he never actually lived there.
So why have a house that you don't live at, or doesn't seem like you would go?
I know, weird, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had that type of money to just have a house laying around.
Me fucking too, Bob.
But the interesting part of it, too, was it was only 3 miles from the Canadian border, and we know that he loved to go to Canada for the sex workers, and he did kill there because Canadians don't count.
Yes, we did learn that early on.
So I wonder if that was,
Maybe.
He liked Canada.
I guess
he liked killing and chilling and
He didn't
fucking.
really like Canada, but he liked to murder in Canada.
But, I thought that was really...
That's so random.
Really strange, right?
Suspect.
Yeah. But in 1998, when Israel entered the Army, his enlistment chose New Jersey as his home of record. which is also really weird because I don't have any information
On
of
anything.
Israel living near, not even on the fucking East Coast, really. Well, a little bit in New York with his family or whatever. But, and that must have been the time when he bought the house. And I'm wondering, too, did he buy the house for his family?
Maybe.
But I don't think we'll ever know because, like I said, his family doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So.
Which is like, please.
So he could have bought it for them.
Say something. Give me a little snippet. Give me a little something.
But his home of record is also different than legal address. So, like, your home of record, I guess, I don't know exactly what it is. I guess it's saying, like, that's what you consider your home.
Yeah.
Your home, but it's weird because Washington would probably be what he would put down because that's where he lived most of his life. Yeah. So it's different than a legal address, but there's no telling why he'd ever put New Jersey down, like, ever. I have no idea.
It's weird.
Very weird. So some attribute Israel to the disappearance of Susan Lyle. And my phone kept autocorrecting it to Susan Lysol. And I was like, you trying to tell me something?
You need Lysol. You running low on Lysol?
Yep. Am I getting the vid soon?
Susan Lysol.
Lysol. So on the evening of March 2nd, 1998, 19-year-old Susan was last seen in Albany, New York. Remember, I just said Israel bought a house just then, just previously, very close to when Susan Lyle went missing, also in New York. So that morning, she took a midterm exam at the State University of New York, where she went to school. She was also accounted for in all her classes. Her last class ended around 4 p.m. After school, she went on her way to her part-time job at Babbage's in the Cross Gates Mall.
What the hell is that?
Probably something like cabbages. I'm like, who does that, though? Changes it from cabbage to Babbage.
To Babbage.
I think it was just like a clothing retail store.
Yeah.
Maybe they sold Babbage.
You're not killing it with the
baggage
jokes.
Shaped like cabbages. Babbages. Luggage.
I'm embarrassed for you.
I am too. So she showed up for work and the store closed at 9 p.m. and Susan left around 9:20 p.m. She got onto a bus to return to her dorm on campus. An acquaintance stated that they saw Susan get off the bus around 9:45 on campus. So she got off the bus on her campus at 9:45. The walk from the bus stop she was last seen getting off to her dorm was barely, not even a 5-minute walk.
Huh.
And she disappeared but in that 5-minute walk. Not even 5 minutes. Most people said it took like 3.
That's
and especially
wild.
at night, you're kind of walking a little more briskly because you're freaked out.
Yeah.
So we'll say 2.5.
So somebody was waiting in the woods,
in the shadows.
bushes.
Something that I know a man named Israel Keys liked to do. But Susan didn't ever make it back to her dorm and hasn't ever been seen or heard from since.
Jeez.
Susan had a boyfriend named Richard who called her parents the following morning. He was worried because she didn't return to her dorm the previous night and he couldn't find her anywhere. Susan's parents called campus police to report her missing, but as we often see, they told them it was nothing to worry about and it was common for college students to just disappear, apparently.
I really, really wish people would
sick of that
stop
shit.
saying, it's fine, don't worry
It's normal
about
for
it.
people to just disappear.
It's not normal for people to disappear. And it's not... So can we just, like, put a little bit more, like, stress on that?
Urgency?
Yeah, let's...
When someone just disappears into thin air?
I mean, I'm not saying, like, fucking sound all the alarms right away, but let's just not brush it off.
Yeah.
Like, just don't college kids going missing. Oh, it's very common.
Yeah,
it's not.
Not very common.
It's not. And a parent knows. A parent has that gut feeling when something's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to just... I don't think in any of these situations they're wrong.
Yeah, and I also think that if a boyfriend's worried,
yeah,
like if you don't just disappear into thin air, you at least tell most of the time, I mean, there are people that do, but most of the time you tell one person, a friend, your boyfriend, your fucking dog. Mm-hmm. I mean, you tell somebody. Somebody knows. Your parents, a family member, Facebook, whatever.
Exactly.
You shoot an email, a text, a call to at least one person.
Yeah, and like you said, if her boyfriend was worried, then that's a problem.
That's even...
I'm sure he knows her just as well, if not better, than her parents.
Exactly.
And he knows that she wouldn't just disappear.
And there's something obviously wrong.
So, can we just put some more urgency into
can we
missing
stop
people,
this?
please? Thanks.
So the day after Susan disappeared, her debit card was used to take $20 from an ATM at a convenience store in Albany around 4 p.m., which y'all will learn Israel has taken money from a victim's bank account using their debit card in future crimes that we'll talk about. And one that is his one absolute confirmed murder. Yeah. That's something he did. So that's a little
sus.
Yes. But most importantly, I think it's strange that it happened right after classes ended around 4 p.m. Because remember, she said her classes ended around 4 p.m., then she'd go to work. Well, nobody took the $20 out of her bank account to the next day, right after 4 p.m. Yeah. So if it wasn't Israel, it makes me wonder if it was somebody that was in her classes because they got out and then went to the ATM. So there were surveillance cameras in the store.
Yeah.
But the ATM was not in view of them.
Mother.
Who doesn't put an ATM in front of a camera? Like, if you're going to have something in front of the camera...
I feel like that's an unwritten rule.
I know, right?
You do that.
The cashier and the fucking ATM. That's what should be in the cameras.
So where was the ATM located that they didn't have it on camera and they didn't have a picture of the person at all in the store?
So it was like it was in a back corner. So they come in the door because all you could see was like probably the cashier.
Oh.
And then whatever's in front of her, if it's in the back corner... You don't see. They could slip in and out. Which also makes you think that they must have known. Maybe they had some knowledge of that.
Yeah.
But it's also weird. They only took a $20 bill. A $20 hair.
Just 20.
That's it. And never again. Just once. $120.
Maybe they checked her balance at the ATM and realized she probably didn't have any money.
And they were like,
fuck it, $20.
I'll grab a 20. That's what I get.
I gotta get gas anyway. You know what I mean?
Disposing of her body.
Yeah. Ooh, that's fucked up.
I know, I should laugh, but I am.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it was. He realized that, she's broke because fucking college students don't have money.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't get too much into these cases, so I'm sure there's details that... There's more, and and we'll go over all these cases someday, when the murder wheel hits in more depth.
Yeah.
But right now, to get through Israel, we just gotta kind of the small details. So Richard thought that this was strange because only himself and Suzanne knew the PIN for her debit card.
Yeah. So
that means whoever did it had to have gotten the PIN from her, or it was Richard himself. Uh-oh. So, of course, the police had Richard as a person of interest, but he had an alibi, and it was verified by his friend, who had been playing video games with him the night Suzanne disappeared. And I don't know if they went more in depth and they could tell that, what time he was playing. Logged in, and his friend confirmed it was definitely him because we were talking back and forth, or, I don't know the depth of that. But weirdly, shortly after Suzanne disappeared, Richard stopped cooperating with police and refused to take a polygraph. He also wouldn't speak with them unless his lawyer was present, which could be weird or not, because as true crime lovers, we know to immediately get a lawyer and not to take a polygraph, no matter if we're innocent or guilty.
Exactly.
Because they're not right.
Exactly.
And if you fucking fail because you have anxiety, 90% of the world,
or you say something that wrong or in the wrong way, they're gonna be in your
and then they chase you around, and it's not
more.
you. Yeah. Suzanne's family also stated that she had tried to break up with Richard previously, but he became so emotional about it that she just stayed with him.
Oh, God.
And guys, don't ever do something you don't want to do. Yeah. I learned that as I grew old.
Let's stop doing that.
If you can say no. If you don't want to be with someone, you can say no.
Stop with the feelings.
And
they'll get over it.
Yeah.
And if they don't get over it, then that sounds like a them problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't sound like a you problem. That sounds like a them problem, which is not your problem.
Yep. And if you're not doing it for you, just leave his ass in the past. Nobody is worth staying with and being unhappy.
Yeah, if you're not happy, stop trying to make everyone else happy.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All that matters is
live
you,
for yourself.
My friend. Yeah, hail yourself.
Exactly.
My friend. And if you get scared, just fucking buy a gun.
Mm-hmm. That too.
And some nunchucks.
Buy a gun and a big dog.
All you gotta do really is put a lock in a sock, and that thing will fucking knock somebody right out.
Rock someone's world.
You don't even need to go crazy. Just grab a sock, and even anything you want to put in your sock, just make sure it's tied up.
Maybe
anything hard.
A sock
and a rock.
Of the rocks in the sock. You know what I mean.
A brick. Fuck it. Whatever you want to do, as long as you can tie that sock
and
up.
Will cause damage, and that you can lift.
Yep.
Maybe have two, just in case you go get to hit them with one.
You do a rubbing at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have a guarantee of one of them hitting him, or if
there's two people at once, you got your windmill going
on. You know,
and you can learn tricks and shit.
Yeah, kind of like nunchucks.
Yeah.
If you're not cool with nunchucks, because nunchucks are very dangerous. I've been hit.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
They're not great.
I wouldn't do a nunchuck.
My brother had real nunchucks as a kid, and I don't know why they gave us children in the 90s weapons, but they did.
It was the 90s.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times I've hit myself with them. They're painful.
Yeah, I bet. So I wouldn't go with that.
Go with the rock and a sock.
Just windmill away from your body, okay, people? I wish you could see me right now.
Don't knock yourself out, you know what I mean?
Yes, windmill away, as long as your arm can stretch, and windmill.
Yes.
And
come in hot.
And if you're breaking up with somebody, I'm sure they'll be quite scared and never want to see you again anyways when you start windmilling.
I wouldn't want to continue a relationship with someone who is a windmiller.
Me either. That's when you walk out.
Deuces.
But it seemed that Susan had disappeared without a trace, and there was nothing of hers to be found. Nothing. They didn't even find a fucking earring, nothing. But in June of 1998, some students on her college campus found an ID card belonging to her in a visitor's parking lot.
Right.
Unfortunately, the card was expired, so police couldn't know for sure if she dropped it the night she disappeared, and there was snow too, so it was winter, so they didn't know if when it actually fell, because it could have been in the snow and then it melted months later, and they didn't know because it was expired if she dropped it that night that she disappeared, or if she dropped it months earlier and got a new one, and they didn't know for sure what was going on with that. Investigators also questioned the bus driver, and he did remember seeing Susan get onto the bus, but didn't remember exactly what stop she got off on.
And to be fair,
he's not writing down everybody where they got off.
Oh, Susan got off here, Debbie got off.
But I bet after that experience, maybe he did start, which is sad.
That's fucked up.
But we do know that Susan didn't return to her dorm that night, and her roommates didn't see her. They also would hear her keys jingle, at least when she'd open the door every evening. They'd hear the jingle of all her keychains, and they didn't hear the jingle that night. Because sometimes some people think that maybe she slipped in and slipped out, but her roommates were like, homie, every night we hear those keys jingling, and we didn't hear them that night. Police also found out that a month before Suzanne disappeared, she told a coworker that she thought she was being stalked by someone she didn't know. Uh-oh. But she didn't describe the person or give any defining details.
That's another thing that we need to stop doing. If you think you're being stalked, please tell someone.
Yes.
And if you know what they look like, please tell someone.
Yes, describe.
Why do we have to... And
defining
also,
details.
If someone says to you, I'm being stalked... Ask questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Don't just let that go.
I would never. I'd be like, tell me everything.
Who just is like, oh, you've been stalked? Cool. Anyway, so what are we having for lunch?
Yeah.
If someone comes to me and says I think someone's stalking me, I'm gonna ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm also gonna walk them to their car all the time and keep a lookout. And if I see any sketcho in the bushes or following us, I'm gonna walk up to them.
You're gonna windmill.
I'm probably gonna walk up to him and be like, can I help you? What are you doing? We can see ya.
Steph looks like a little librarian now with her glasses and her floral shirt.
I'm gonna walk up to
What are
him
you
and
doing?
drop my glasses down, look over my glasses, and be like, "Can I help you, sir? You look like you're lost."
Speaking of libraries, I'm proud of Gemma. Today she got to check out her first book at the school library because it's actually open this year because last year with COVID it wasn't. Oh, and they have a book fair coming up in March.
Oh,
her first one. You remember those?
Book fairs give
Oh
me
my
the feels
God, I
all
know.
day, every day.
But they couldn't have that either last year because of COVID. But this year they are. But she checked out her first book, and I was like, "Let me see it. What is it?" And this little turd pulls out Goosebumps, baby.
Right on. She's your kid, for sure.
And she was so cute. She got in the car and took out her Goosebumps, and she had like a little bookmark, and she opens it up, and I'm like asking questions about the day. I'm like, "What'd you have for lunch? Who'd you sit with? You know, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "I'm a reading mother." Well, not mother, but mom.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read, mama. I'm like, okay.
Sassafras.
So, but anyways, I was very proud
That's
that
exciting.
she rented,
That's cute.
checked out Goosebumps first. Anyways, sorry for the sidetrack. So, police never found any evidence other than that ID card or any motive to why someone would abduct Susan or why she would just leave. Now, possibly linking it to Israel Keys, like I stated, her ATM card was used after her disappearance, which Israel did do in one of his confirmed murders. Israel was also very familiar with Albany, New York, and we know that for sure that from July of 1998 to July of 2001, Israel served in the army, and he was processed out of Albany, New York.
It was him.
Just saying.
If it quacks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a fucking Israel Keys. I'll tell you that right
Plus, he owned a home, as I said, in Constable,
Yep.
New York.
So he did it, and she's on that land somewhere.
I know, and I'm really curious to see if they ever checked that land or what's going on with that.
You can guess and make an assumption that they did and they didn't find anything, or they did not. And because I mean, who's to say it was in his name? But who's to say, like you said, it wasn't his family who lived on it? And if they lived on it, you know damn well they probably won't help.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
But
they don't want.
I feel like you could get enough for a search warrant if somebody's like, "Hey, I'm a serial killer." I think that should be enough.
Yeah.
But you don't know. I don't know how the laws work. You know how
especially
the laws work.
New York, they're
all
funky
fucked
over
up.
there, and New York's a fucking joke. I'm not even don't even get me started on New York.
So, but most of his time while he was in the army, he was stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. So Suzanne's disappearance has still never been solved to this day. I can't believe it's like mind-boggling to me when there's unsolved disappearances. Like you don't find anything, you know? It's
in
like
this day and age, you would think that there wouldn't be because there's so many cameras, places, and our phones are always listening and watching and tracking everything we do. And yet people still go missing. It's weird.
Yeah, well, yeah, now, yeah.
Even now.
So from 1998 to 2001, Israel was completely stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. In 1999, Israel's parents had phone numbers registered to their names, both in Colville, Washington, and at Israel's home in Constable, New York.
Huh.
So that's why I'm wondering if they lived there too, but they had two phone numbers and two different homes. So it's both registered to their names.
Or
so
maybe,
that's all weird.
Maybe one's really theirs and one's
his. And they just pay the phone bill.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem that he ever really went there often.
Well, maybe that's the way he wanted it to appear.
Yeah, but why the fuck would you be paying taxes on a house?
Well,
that you never use. It's just.
Are we sure?
It's mind-boggling.
Taxes?
Yes, it's under his. Well, I guess they could have paid the taxes, but it's under his name.
It's under his name, but they could have paid the taxes on it.
Yeah, so they could have lived. Maybe they used his name to buy a house.
Yeah,
because of
he bought
whatever
the house
reasons,
for them, and then
or he bought the house for them, or they used it because maybe he had better credit.
Yeah. So I mean, because I just don't. I definitely think he had to have went there one time. There's just
one time, at least one time,
twice, 3 times a lady. I don't know, but if I'm thinking that one of the numbers was his actual parents, and the other one he was using so that for whatever reason, because he was very sketchy about having his himself being able to be tracked. So, I mean, that would be something that he would do, is put his phone number under his parents' name and not his.
Yeah. True, but still.
Yeah.
I just think the house is very,
Suspect.
very sus. On September 28th, 1999, Israel rented a vehicle from Enterprise in Lakewood, Washington. Then on November 26, 1999, he rented a vehicle from USAVE in Fort Lewis, Washington. Then on November 29th, 1999,
Jesus.
he rented another vehicle from USAVE in Fort Lewis, Washington. So, he's renting a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And the average person, I've never rented a car in my whole life.
Nope, neither. I mean...
Maybe if you don't own a car, it could be normal to rent cars, but he's renting a lot of cars.
Yeah, and...
Doesn't it? It screams something weird's going on
Well,
here. Which we all know now what was going on.
I think it screams something weird's going on to us because we're fucking cuckoo bananas and this is what we look at and study all the time. To average person, he just
But I
travels
don't
a
know
lot.
anyone that's...
He could be a business person and...
He was in the army during this, though.
So then he is traveling a lot. And he is going from... He probably doesn't have, like, a set station.
Yeah, he was in Fort Lewis, St. Louis.
I know, but I mean...
That's
if
where he
he's a
stayed,
military
baby.
guy, they're not going to question him. And
No, them not questioning him, but I'm wondering what he needs these fucking for. I don't
murder.
know anyone
For
that's
murder.
like, I know, but it's just so strange. I've never personally even met anyone, I think, that's been like, yeah, I had to rent a car. Really.
I have, but...
I mean, maybe once, but I don't know someone that rents a car every other week.
Yeah, no, that's weird.
That's weird.
That's suspect and sketchy.
And then on January 4th, 2000, he rented a vehicle from Budget in Spokane, Washington. And he goes to all different places. So those are just some vehicle rentals to keep in mind as we go forward. And I think we're going to stop it there. And next week we'll start in January of 2000. Y2K, baby.
Y2K.
Too bad the world didn't end for Israel Keys when it turned to 2000.
Yeah, he's fucking...
A dweeb.
He's a fucking dweeb. Alright, you ready for that urban dicky?
Ready for that dick. Urban,
You should just make a song.
I know, we should have a theme song for it.
Urban dick.
Can somebody
dick,
just
dick,
send
dick,
us?
dick,
Can you
dick,
guys
dick,
just
dick, dick,
just make a fucking voice recording of
Of
Urban
you.
Dicks?
Yeah.
And somebody like beatboxing?
Beep, beep,
And we'll play it.
Yeah, every time we do an urban dick, which is every episode.
Are you going first or me?
No, you go first, because I went first last. I've gone first almost every time for the past, month.
That's alright with me. Mine's called Frosty the Snowman.
No.
I knew when I read that title, you were gonna give me that look. That Steph's got pure fear on that librarian face of hers.
This is Jeffrey Dahmer's
A
face.
game.
It's a game, okay.
Where you get 4 of your friends,
Of course.
mostly guys,
Yeah.
or girls who can squirt,
Oh, jeez.
where you all jack off into a hat. Top hat is preferable. And the last person to come, or the person who can't come into the hat, has to wear that hat in resembling a melting snowman.
That's disgusting.
That's friends that come together stay together.
Yeah.
But really, I would. How do you do that with a bunch of friends?
I'm
just
is sitting
curious.
around with their friends and they're like, we should do this.
Let's all come in a hat.
And where are you gonna get a fucking top hat? Who has one of those still?
I don't know. I guess
What
a
are you going to
fedora.
Grandpa's and stealing his
Fedora
top hat?
could work too.
Yeah, that would be something a fedora wearer would do.
Yes, they would, and
It
they'd
is
be
no
melted
secret.
like Frosty.
Yeah, it is no secret we don't like fedoras.
I never will.
So please,
Nobody can wear one good.
No one. Not a
I can't think of
single
soul.
person. Mine is called Brap.
Brap.
A meaty fart.
Ooh.
A fart longer or louder than average. Deep in pitch. Me and this girl were... Devin literally
Like
just
that?
rapped for you all. I really hope that
I was
audio
thinking
picked it up.
about putting the microphone near my ass,
I
but...
really hope the microphone picked that up. So me and this girl were out last night, and she let out a huge ass...
That's
This
what it
is
reminds me of.
posted from the Brap Master 69, which I didn't know I posted this because I'm the Brap Master. Mine actually sound like quack because they sound like ducks.
Yeah, they do.
Quacking between my ass cheeks.
Yep. Those
So that's
ass
what I got.
cheeks.
Definitely not as good as the Frosty, but yeah. All right. Well.
Oh, and we want to thank our patron Sam because she just upgraded to Crypt Keeper.
Little.
You look like Patrick
I know.
with your arms out, and you starfish.
Yeah.
You're Patrick.
I am.
You are Patrick with
I
glasses.
am.
So everybody picture Patrick in your head, put on some glasses and a floral top. And that is your Crypt Keeper Steph. You're welcome.
am Patrick Star. Hello.
You-
My favorite time to do the little is when my friend is kissing her boyfriend, and every time they kiss, I come in hot, and I'm like, little. And now she told me every time she kisses him, she hears my voice
it in her
head.
Can I be SpongeBob because I got a square ass? Oh my, you sounded like a dolphin. I'm sorry. Oh, I need to tell you something about dolphins because I knew you'd be pissed. So I got this story from my mom, and she's kind of missing a couple screws. So I don't know. I don't know how valuable, how real the story is. But apparently somebody was like walking down the beach in Ireland, right? Mm-hmm. And they saw like clothes on the beach, but they didn't see anyone in the water. So they're like, okay, either somebody's in the water that drowned, or they fucking left butt-ass naked and just left their clothes and just walked off into the fucking sunset. So they got worried, whatever, and then they fucking end up finding out that this Irish dude fucking just swam like way far deep into the ocean, right? And they were trying to look for him with helicopters and shit, and a bunch of dolphins found this naked man, and no, they did not rape him. They saw this naked man screaming for help, and they decided that they would make a circle around him so the helicopters could see him. So the helicopters look down, and they just see this big, huge circle of dolphins going in a circle, kind of jumping up, like pointing, like, here he is, come get him out of our waters. What are you doing here in my waters?
What are you doing in my waters? Or they were circling and getting ready to rape.
One or the other. But either way, it caused attention to where this man was, and he was saved. And he was they said he was like 10 minutes from getting hypothermia because he had been in the water for so long.
Good for him.
And the dolphins saved him. They made a fucking circle.
They were getting ready to rape him.
I knew you were going to think that.
They were circling him because they were eyeing what
maybe they were doing a circle
wanted.
Jerk, and they were all going to come in his mouth, and whoever was last got to rape him.
That they were going to do that. They were going to get it.
But I thought it was an interesting story. If it's real and they weren't going to rape him, that's very sweet of them. But I've heard many stories of dolphins going underneath someone when they were drowning and saying, hold on, bitch. And they hold on and they bring them back to shore.
Yeah, and you know what they want in payment? Sex.
Well, they can send me a postcard.
Don't run into the same dolphin because he's going to ask for payment.
He'll be like, remember that time I saved your life?
Yeah, well, that ass is mine, bitch. Ass, grass, or cash, and you got that ass.
Oh my god.
So anyway.
That's very scary to think of.
Thanks for that story. I still hate dolphins. Never will like them ever.
Sorry, buddy. Maybe one day.
No, don't be sorry. I'm
going to bring Steph to Florida and we're going to ride dolphins and all the pictures are going to be me like smiling. You know how you can stand on their noses and shit? Yeah. It's going to be me like that and then it's going to show you fucking in like a parka because you're so fucking scared they're going to try to rape you in like big snow pants and you're going to be like pissed off.
I'm not even going to go in the water.
You're going to have a hood on and shit.
Yeah, I am going to have a parka.
And the dolphins are going to come near you.
I'm just going to have my arms crossed looking like a grumpy old man.
And you're going to be completely like almost in a bubble because you don't want them to get you.
I don't even want them looking at me.
You're going to have like 6 bathing suits on so they can't penetrate your ass.
I'm not even going to be in the water with them. I'm going to stand on the sideline in my parka.
Oh, you'll be one of those?
And I'll be...
and they'll have a dolphin like come up in the water, like try to take a picture of you and you'll be fucking... like that.
Yeah, flip it off.
Yeah.
Like,
or you'll be getting your gat out to fucking pop them.
My death dart and be...
You're a fucking dick.
And then
I think
like
dolphins are cute and sweet animals.
Yeah, they're fucking rapists and they're drug addicts. Anyway, thank you guys
What
for
do they
listening.
fucking snort? Crab shells?
No, actually, pufferfish. They gang up on pufferfish and they get high off the pufferfish and pass it around until it dies. Anywho, thank you so much for listening.
You know what I think
guys.
is funny? Dolphins are most like humans, and you hate them for all their human things.
Yes.
They rape and get high.
Yes. I don't like them.
Many humans do the same.
And I don't like them either.
Me either.
Anywho, thank you for listening. You guys.
Yes, we love you
We love you long
so
time.
much. And shout out again to Sam. Thank you for upgrade. You're the best, and we appreciate the support.
Yes.
And if anybody would like to support us and just send us a one-time donation, you can always find us on PayPal, the podcast from the crypt at gmail.com. And you can send over whatever, $1 here, $2 here, $3 here, 50 cents, whatever. Anything helps the cause.
Yeah, dog.
So thank you guys. Hail the mighty Satan.
And we'll see you in hell.
Wow,
Goodbye.
Steph's going to be there sooner than most.
Yes, fingers crossed. Alrighty.
With the dolphins. That would be your personal hell.
Oh,
They're all
no.
raping you in line like
I'm
a
gonna have to
cha-cha
start going
line.
to church.
The human centipede, but it's the human sexipede.
I'm gonna start
And
going
it's
to
just
church. I can't go
dolphins?
to hell. I can't. Not if there's
Oh,
dolphins.
and they're all like,
No.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha, 1.
I'm not going to hell. I'm going as soon as today's over. I'm going to church.